An emergency meeting of the Arab League getting together at Saudi Arabia's request. A lot said there about Hezbollah and Iran. Here's a little bit from the Bahraini foreign minister on that.
The biggest Iranian arm in the region is the terrorist Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, which exists in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and many other places, and faces like the Houthi. This is the biggest challenge that Arab national security is facing. Iran is trying to interfere in Arab affairs and undermine regional security.
So, Michael, we saw yesterday all of these foreign ministers getting together with a resolution slamming Iran, slamming Hezbollah as being in control of Lebanon, as being a terrorist group. Beyond a resolution and statements, is there reason to think that this Arab League moment against Iran will actually lead to some new concrete action?
Very hard to say, and I would be doubtful of that. Again, we can't predict the future. I've lost my, my glass ball.
There are no crystal balls in the Middle East.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But just that the vast majority of those 22 member states came forward and actually, they deemed Hezbollah a terrorist organization, I believe is a step forward in some senses. Even if it doesn't have any immediate tangible goals that we can speak of in the studio at the moment, that may produce some in the future. And so that in and of itself is also interesting. But something that I thought was worthy of noting is that the UAE foreign minister was not there. A few were actually absent. The Lebanese foreign minister, of course, did not arrive. But the UAE foreign minister is actually in Malaysia. He did not take the time to come to this meeting as well. To me, that was interesting and noteworthy, and perhaps there's a split in that matter between those two Gulf neighbors, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, on this specific issue.
Michael, relatively little in the speech about Prime Minister or former Prime Minister, depending, Saad Hariri, who we now know went to France over the weekend after having earlier fled to Saudi Arabia, claiming that Hezbollah was planning to assassinate him. Nasrallah basically simply saying, we're not going to make any decision until Saad Hariri comes in. Why not even a denial of the charges that Hezbollah was plotting to assassinate him? Why do you think that was?
Again, a very, very typical communication on part of Hezbollah. They tend to be so ambiguous. They maybe won't deny it, they won't confirm it, and that is, I think, part of their tactics. I think it's also part of how they employ fear as a tactic to also instill in other players in the region, be it Israel or be it other parties in Lebanon, such as Hariri's Future Party. And so in that sense, I don't make much of it other than their way of really showing an ambiguous side so that they can be hard to read, in a sense. Maybe that is the goal, I would say.